عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح.
نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, detoxification is a physiological and psycho-spiritual process of removing toxic substances from the human body. This is called in the Islamic tradition tazkiyatun nafs, self-purification or purification of the soul. It is a process of removing harmful things from the body, harmful things from the mind, and replacing them with positive and healthy things. So these toxins can be artificial, poisonous chemicals, such as the things that we find in soda, pop sodas that we drink, and all of the artificial toxins that are in a lot of the fruit juices and the things that we put into our bodies that we think it's okay and it's really not okay. It can also be artificial thoughts that have lasting effects on our bodies and our hearts and our psychological well-being. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing a parallel between the toxins of the body and how they destroy us, the chemicals in these products that we consume, how they destroy us physically, and how artificial created thoughts can also destroy our minds and destroy our hearts in the same exact way. So pay attention to the parallels that I'm drawing here. All right? Because some of us are healthy in terms of our bodies, but we're unhealthy in terms of our minds and our hearts and our souls. And it makes no sense to have a fresh, nice, healthy body and the soul that is in it is corrupt and unhealthy. We want to be healthy, mind, body, and soul, all three. And the only way that we can do that is to concentrate on all three simultaneously, not on one. Going to the gym, working out, and you're buff and you're healthy, mashallah, but mentally you're ill. Spiritually you're ill, right? In terms of your heart and your relationships with others, you're ill. It's a toxic relationship because it's a toxic soul. All right, in Islam, the seat of virtue is the heart. A lot of concentration has been given in Islam to the heart. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna fil jasadi la mudghah, idha salahat salaha al jasadu kullu, wa idha fasadat fasada al jasadu kullu, ala wa hiya al qalb." The Prophet ﷺ said, in the body there's a lump of flesh. In the body there's a lump of flesh. إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ. That if that lump of flesh is sound, if it's healthy, صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ, then the whole entire body will be healthy and sound. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ, and if this lump of flesh is corrupt, if it's unhealthy, فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّ, then the entire body will be corrupt and unhealthy. أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبِ. Indeed, that lump of flesh is the heart. It's the heart. We often conflate symptoms and root causes, which is why many of us suffer under the continuity of our sickness while we don't even realize how toxic we are. Because we say, okay, if I stop smoking, my health will get better. But there's a reason why you smoke. So while you're dealing with the symptoms, you're forgetting about the root causes. You lie, you cheat, you steal, you do all of these things, but you don't realize that these things are symptoms. So even though you treat that as a symptom, the root cause of these things we never actually get to. So we bounce from one ill to the next. From one ill to the next. And we don't realize that the root cause of it all is the condition of our hearts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَتَكُونُ لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ يَعْقِلُونَ بِهَا أَوْ آذَانٌ يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and don't they travel through the earth and see what happened to the nations that came before? Because life is such that we can only live it forward, but we can only understand it backwards. Do they not travel through the earth and see what happened to the nations that came before? And they have eyes with which they hear, and ears with which they hear, eyes with which they see, and hearts with which they comprehend. فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارُ, because it is not the eyes that go blind. وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ, but it is the heart that is in the chest that go blind. So you can see physically, but the spiritual lens has been compromised because the heart is corrupt. The heart is toxic. And if you don't deal with that, you can see physically all day long, but you will not be able to see with the lens of your spirituality, which is the true sight of the believer. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ittaqu farasatul mu'min." Fear the foresight of the believer. That when you truly believe in Allah and you fear Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow you to see things with your eyes that the average person cannot see. And I'm not talking about physically. Farasa, we're talking about foresight. Being able to foresee things before they actually happen, because you're looking with the lens of your spirituality, not the physical lens of your eyeballs. And many of us cannot see danger upon our souls until it is staring us right in our faces. You couldn't see it a mile away. Some of our grandparents, they say, I see the devil in the situation immediately. Because they have been granted, because of their connection to a higher power, because of their connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have foresight. They can see things that many of us cannot see until it is right upon us. Your grandparents will tell you, I told you, didn't I tell you, didn't I warn you about this? And we're like, yeah, because we don't really want to hear it at that moment, because now we've been fully compromised. And we don't want to hear the reality that you were forewarned about this situation, but you couldn't see it because you were blind spiritually, even though you can see physically. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is not the eyes that go blind. فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ. It's not the eyes that go blind. وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. But it is the heart that is in the chest that goes blind. Sometimes our thoughts and subsequent actions create unnecessary obstacles for us in our lives, or completely obstruct our path to success, growth, and development. Thus, we become our own worst enemy while we blame everybody else for our failures. We become our own worst enemy while we turn around and we blame everybody else for our failures. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Shaitan, Wallah al-Azim, when you look back at the Quran, you will find the answer to every problem that we have in our lives. Every problem that you have in your life, you will find the blueprint of that and the solution for it in the Quran. But we don't read. We don't read the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to the story of Shaitan, when he became Shaitan, when he transitioned from being Iblis to Shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ أَن تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. What prevented you from prostrating when I commanded you to? This is a dialogue, conversation between Shaitan and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if there's a conversation between God and the devil, you should be listening. You should be paying attention to that dialogue, because in that conversation is going to tell you everything that you need to know about your eternal enemy. Your eternal enemy is having a conversation with your Lord about you. And we're completely heedless. Your eternal enemy is having a conversation with your Lord about you, about what he's going to do to you. We should be listening. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Shaitan, مَا مَنَعَكَ أَن تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. What prevented you from prostrating when I commanded you to? قَالَ أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ. Shaitan said, I'm better than him. It's the flaw in his thinking. I'm better than him. Because he said, خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. You created me from fire, you created him from dirt. Looking at the physical aspect, right? This is the elementary thinking of someone who believes that I'm better than another person because of the physical elements that you possess. I'm better than him. You created me from fire, you created him from dirt. Not realizing that dirt remains on the ground, remains lowly, so it remains humble, while fire rises, and everything that goes up must eventually come down. You don't realize that. So it wasn't that you were better than Adam in essence. In actuality, you were set up from the very beginning, and you didn't even realize it. And the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prostrate to Adam exposed your reality. He said, I'm better than him. You created me from fire, you created him from dirt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Shaitan, قَالَ فَهْبِطْ مِنْهَا فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ. This is when he became Shaitan. He said, get out of paradise, فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ. Now you are accursed. You are totally deprived of any mercy from me. فَإِنَّكَ رَجِيمٌ. فَمَا يَكُونُ لَكَ أَن تَتَكَبَّرَ فِيهَا. It is not for you to be arrogant here in Jannah. فَخْرُجْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. Get out of Jannah, for indeed you are amongst the lowly. You are now lowly. That Allah can raise you, al-khafid, al-rafi' wal-khafid. That Allah is the one who raises and Allah is the one who humiliates. So as you go up, on your way up, remember who put you on that path to go up. And the same one who put you on the path to go up is the same one that can put you on the path to go back down. He said, get out, for indeed you are amongst the saghirin, amongst the lowly. So Shaitan, listen to what he retorts, and this is what concerns us. Shaitan, he said, قَالَ أَنذِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Give me respite until the day that everyone is resurrected. Meaning, don't destroy me now. Let me live until you resurrect everyone. And then I'll deal with my judgment then. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him that. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنذَرِينَ. Indeed, you are amongst those who have been granted respite. إِلَى يَوْمِ وَقْتِ الْمَعْلُومِ. Until a day that everyone will know about. And Shaitan, he retorts with, قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَتَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمُ الشَّاكِرِينَ. He said that because you have led me astray. قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. Because you did this to me. This is Shaitan blaming everything, his fall, from grace on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي. Because you put me out of paradise. Because you led me astray. Not realizing that he was his own worst enemy. And this is exactly what we do as human beings. We blame everybody else for our failures, not realizing that some of us, you are your own worst enemy. No one else. You are your own worst enemy, but you take the blame off of yourself by blaming it on everyone else. So you do what is called victimize. I'm a victim. This person did this to me. This person did that to me. If this didn't happen to me, then this wouldn't have happened to me. But you never go back to the root cause of why you fell from grace, and that was by your own hands. He said, because you led me astray, I will wait for them on your straight path. Notice the wording. Shaitan didn't say, I'm going to wait for them on the other side of obedience to Allah, on disobedience. I'm going to wait for them on your straight path. Meaning, Shaitan goes after those who are trying to do right. Shaitan has no business with those who are already engrossed in what is wrong. What does Shaitan need with a house kharib that is already destroyed? He's going after those that are on the straight path. He said, and I will come to them from before them and behind them, from the right of them and the left of them, from all angles. And you will find that most of them are ungrateful. You will find most of them are undeserving of the status that you gave them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us in many ayats in the Quran not to be self-destructive. Not to destroy ourselves with our own hands. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And do not throw yourselves into destruction by your own hands. That can be interpreted on so many different levels. Whether you smoke cigarettes, whether you drink, whether you engage in self-destructive behavior, do not throw yourselves into destruction by your own hands. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Don't let your hands be the cause of your own destruction. وَأَحْسِنُوا. And think well of Allah, for indeed Allah loves those who think well of Him. In this climate that we live in right now, brothers and sisters, of self-absorption and grandiose delusions of grandeur, this narcissistic personality, this God complex that many of us suffer from, we need to detox from ourselves. We are intoxicated with this God complex that many of us have adopted because of the world being handed to you on a silver platter. Or overcompensating for some insecurities that many of us have. We need to detox ourselves from ourselves. The soul is such that if you leave it unchecked, it has the potential to create a very toxic and a very unhealthy environment for you and the people around you. Brothers, if you can move up as much as you can, inshallah, we'll work out the details when it's time for salah. The soul is such that if you leave it unchecked, it has the potential to create a very toxic, a very healthy environment for you and for the people that are around you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in Surah Yusuf, إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. That indeed the soul instructs the person to do evil, except those whom Allah has mercy upon. It's the natural state of the soul. If you leave it as it is, النَّفْسُ تَمِيلُ إِلَى الرَّاحَةِ. The soul doesn't want to do anything. And this is why it is called mujahadatun nafs. Self-struggle, when you force yourself to get up for Salatul Fajr. When you force yourself to lower your gaze when you see something you shouldn't be looking at. When you force yourself to say no when you are offered something that is going to contribute to the destruction of your soul. You say no. That requires mujahada. That requires struggle. And if you are not a type of person who wants to struggle with himself, then you are going to succumb to the toxicity of your own soul. That's the nature of the soul. If you leave it and you do nothing for it, then it will drive you, it will take you to places, wallahu bihi alim, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best how deep your soul will take you to destruction. If you leave it. But if you're the type of person that says, no, I'm going to struggle against myself and not allow myself to go down that road, then there's a huge reward for you waiting on the other end from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn al-Qayyim, this great scholar of Islam, he said, لا يسيء الظن بنفسه إلا من عرفها. That no one thinks lowly of himself except the one who really knows his true self. ولا يظن ولا يحسن الظن بنفسه فهو من أجهل الناس بنفسه. And no one thinks highly of himself except someone who is the most ignorant of who his true self is. The person who thinks lowly of himself knows truly who he is, knows that I'm nothing more than a sinner, knowing that I'm nothing more than a disobedient servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm not deserving of any praise or any status that anyone gives me. I'm not deserving of it. I'm not deserving of it. They know, And the person who thinks highly of himself, mashallah, tabarakallah, then this is the person who is the most ignorant of people as it relates to himself. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, الكيس من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت والعاجز من أتبع نفسه هواه ويتمنى على الله الأماني. The Prophet ﷺ said, الكيس الفطن العاقل, the smart person, من دان نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت. The smart person is the one who constantly finds fault with himself, always. Constantly finds fault with himself. You could have done better than that. You need to fear Allah. As Umar radiallahu anhu, كان يخاطب نفسه. Umar used to, address himself. He said, يَا ابْنَ خَطَّابْ لَتَتَّقِيَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُعَذِّبَكَ اللَّهِ. He used to talk to himself. He used to say, oh son of Khattab, you are either going to fear Allah or Allah is going to punish you. When you have this element about yourself that you are self-correcting, you don't need other people to step in and correct you. You are hard. You are your own worst critic. You will do that yourself. You don't need someone on the outside of you to do that because you do a great job of that yourself. You're hard on yourself. And that doesn't mean that you should be hard on yourself to the point where you don't allow yourself room to grow and to develop as a human being. Some people are extremely, overly hard on themselves, and they will not allow themselves to develop and grow because they won't allow themselves to breathe. They won't allow themselves to see themselves as human beings that are going to make mistakes. But we shouldn't sit back and wait for someone else to correct us. We should have that mechanism within ourselves. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by this soul. وَالنَّفْسَ اللَّوَّامَةِ. النَّفْسَ اللَّوَّامَةِ, this is the self-reproaching soul. The soul that constantly finds fault with itself. I did this. You need to fear Allah. You shouldn't do that. I know this is wrong. This is him having a discussion with himself or herself. But the Prophet ﷺ said, الْكَيِّسُ مَنْ دَانَ نَفْسَهُ وَعَمِلَ لِمَا بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ. That the smart person, the intelligent person, is the one who constantly finds fault with himself and works towards the hereafter. What comes after death? He said, وَالْعَاجِزُ الْكَسْلَانِ, the lazy person, مَنْ أَتْبَعَ نَفْسَهُ هَوَاهُ, who follows his every desire, ثُمَّ يَتَمَنَّ عَلَى اللَّهِ الْأَمَانِ, and then he hopes for some mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, Allah is Ghafurur Rahim. Naam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Ghafurur Rahim, Wallahu Shadidul Adab, Shadidul Iqab. Yes, Allah is Ghafurur Rahim. Allah is forgiving and merciful. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also severe in punishment. Don't let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy deceive you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhal insanu ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem. Oh, you human being, what is it that has deceived you about the generosity of your Lord? Don't think that because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is generous and He's merciful, that on the flip side of that, He is not shadidul iqab. He is not severe in punishment. So, in this climate of self-absorption and grandiose delusions of grandeur, we need to detox ourselves from ourselves. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ used to implore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the purification of his soul. The Prophet ﷺ used to supplicate, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min sharri nafsi wa sharri shaitan wa min sharri sharikihi. That, oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from the evil of myself and the evil of shaitan wa sharri sharikihi, and the evil of shaitan's counterparts. His group, his party, his company. I seek refuge with you from the evil of my own self. And another dua, the Prophet ﷺ taught us, Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha fa anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. Oh Allah, ati nafsi taqwaha. Give my nafs, give my soul its taqwa. Give it the consciousness of you that it needs. Give my soul the consciousness of you that it needs. Ati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru min zakkaha. And purify my soul. Help me to detox. Purify my soul. Anta khayru min zakkaha. And you are the best to purify the soul. Anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. You are its guardian and you are its protector. This is reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. for the purification, the detoxification of the soul that we need. We are living in a time of artificiality, where everything from embryos to egos are man-made and humanly manufactured to imitate a natural process that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed for us as human beings. Everything is, artificial. You go on Facebook pages and you see the pictures that highlight the good moments in the person's life, while behind those pictures, the person is actually suffering in silence. But we have to keep on this image, this facade, that everything is okay, that I'm perfect, when in fact you're not. When in fact you're ill. When in fact you need help. But we hide behind these capes, these masks that we put on in front of the world to make everyone believe that we're okay. And this is why they call privilege a burden. When you walk around believing that you're better than someone, whether it's white privilege, whatever privilege you think it is. As the Prophet ﷺ highlighted all of these privileges in his final khutbah. He said, لا فضل لعربي على عجمي ولا لعجمي على عربي ولا لأحمر على أسود ولا لأسود على أحمر ولا أبيض على أسود ولا أسود على أبيض إلا بالتقوى الله سبحانه وتعالى. There's no virtue for an Arab over a non-Arab. He's speaking to Arab privilege. That you believe that because you are an Arab, that you are better than others. There's no virtue for an Arab over a non-Arab. Or a non-Arab over an Arab. You're not better than someone else because you believe you converted to Islam, so you experience Christianity, so you come into Islam with this privilege that you believe that you are better and you know more about God and you're closer to God than anyone else. There's no virtue for an Arab over a non-Arab, nor an non-Arab over an Arab, nor a black man over a white man, nor a white man over a black man, nor a red man over a black man, or a black man over a red man, except with taqwa, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The most noble, the most honorable of you in the sight of God, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the one that possesses the most taqwa. That is how our closeness to Allah or our distance from Allah is calculated. Not by the color of your skin, not by how much your credit score is, not by how much is in your bank account, how many businesses you own. All of these things mean absolutely nothing in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What matters the most? Taqwa. So while we hear Black Lives Matter, this life matters, taqwa matters. In reality, in Islam, taqwa matters. Fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matters. Consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matters. And we always leave that out of the equation. And obviously when we're speaking about social issues, then of course that has its context. But here we're talking about in our religion, our closeness or our distance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taqwa matters. Fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matters. So you see that this is imitating the natural process that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed for us. And while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to perfect our human experience with life lessons that create humility, we are sullying this human experience with lessons or with manufactured brand of artificiality and toxins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, مَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيَجْعَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنْ حَرَجٍ وَلَكِنْ يُرِيدُ لِيُطَهِّرَكُم وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this religion, مَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يَجْعَلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنْ حَرَجٍ, that Allah does not will to put you through difficulty. What Allah designed for us in this religion, the life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, was not designed to create unnecessary hardship for us in our lives. But as Allah says at the end of the ayah, وَلَكِنْ يُرِيدُ لِيُطَهِّرَكُم, but Allah wants to purify you. Your human experience is designed to humble you. And in humbling yourself, you are able to see yourself for who you really are and rid yourself of these toxins that we begin to absorb from the society that we live in. This society gives us this mentality where we feel like we are God's gift to the world. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. And you have people, and this is obviously first world problems, because people who live in other countries don't have that luxury. Don't have that luxury. Muslims in Syria, Muslims in Yemen, Muslims in Palestine, Muslims in Gaza, they don't have that privilege. that we have because we are American citizens, mashallah, tabarakallah. They don't have that privilege, but we do. We have the privilege to walk out of our home and to see, our neighbor driving, a small, car, living very, next to nothing, and then to believe that, mashallah, that I've arrived. People in other places don't have that luxury. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He does not wish to make your life difficult. وَلَكِنْ يُرِيدَ لِيُطَهِّرَكُمْ, but He only wants to purify you. وَلِيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكُمْ, and so that He can complete His favor upon you. This life that He has given you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that perhaps you may turn and in turn be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That you may in turn be grateful for the life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. And this is why Adam was created from dirt, and why he was given animalistic impulses that could only be subdued or maintained by a force or power greater than himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Adam and the children of Adam animalistic impulses. We are actually the highest form of animal as human beings. We are the highest form of animal. And with that, we realize that we can be very dangerous and self-destructive to our own selves. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ supplicated, Allahumma rahmataka arju, fala takilni ila nafsi tarafat ayn, wa aslih li sha'ni kulla, la ilaha illa ant. He used to supplicate, Allahumma rahmataka arju, oh Allah, your mercy is what I hope for. Fala takilni ila nafsi tarafat ayn. Do not leave me alone to myself, not even for the time that it takes for me to blink my eye. Because if Allah leaves you to yourself, even for the time that it takes for you to blink your eye, you could become very self-destructive to yourself. وَأَصْلِحْ لِي شَأْنِي كُلَّهُ, and rectify all of my affairs. لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ, nothing worthy of worship except you. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بما جاء فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على دين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إقرارا به وتوحيدا وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله سراجا منيرا. أما بعد, Yusuf alayhi salam, when you look at the story of Yusuf, there's so many lessons in this story for mankind. But when you look at this, the incident that happened between him and the wife of the Aziz, she trapped him in this room and she tried to seduce him. And Yusuf, he called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that moment, realizing that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not intervene, then he would be no different than any other man in that same circumstance. Any man could be caught in a situation like that and succumb to what that situation entails. He called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, realizing that if left to himself, he would not have been able to resist that situation, that temptation, because he is a human being. And he called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His divine intervention. He called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when the woman called him out. She told him to come out. She gave the women fruit and a knife to cut the fruit. But when they saw how beautiful Yusuf was, alayhi salam, they began to cut their hands. And they said, مَا هَذَا مَلَكٌ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَا هَذَا رَجُلٌ بَشَرٌ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. There's no way that this could be a human being. Yusuf alayhi salam was given half of the beauty of Adam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam in His image. Yes, that is the belief of Ahlul Sunnah. Don't be afraid to say what the Prophet ﷺ said. He created Adam in His own image. Authentic hadith. Does that mean that Adam looked like Allah? No, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Adam certain qualities that resembles the qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. However, there's a great difference between the qualities of the Creator versus the qualities of creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Adam a wajh, a face. Allah affirmed for himself a face. Allah gave Adam with hands. Allah said that he created Adam with his own two hands. He told Shaitan, why didn't you prostrate to the one that khalaqatu biyadayhi, that I created with my own two hands? Fashioned by the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Given certain qualities to see, to hear. So, Yusuf alayhi salam was given half of the beauty of Adam. And when the women saw Yusuf, they said that there's no way that this is a human being. In hada illa malakun kareem. This is nothing more than a noble angel. And the wife of the Aziz, she told Yusuf in front of the rest of the women, now you are either going to do what I commanded you to do, or I'm going to have you put in prison and you'll be amongst the lowly and the dejected, rejected of society. Yusuf called on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to intervene. He said, قال يوسف قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن ولا أكونن من الصاغرين. He said, oh Allah, قال رب السجن أحب إلي. He said, oh Allah, oh my Lord, prison is more dear to me than what they are calling me to. But if you do not intervene, وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفْ عَنِّي كَيْدَهُنَّ, if you do not turn their plot away from me, أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ, I may incline towards them, وَلَا أَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ, or جَاهِلِينَ, and I will be amongst the ignorant. He called on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to intervene, understanding that the impulses that Allah has given us cannot be subdued or maintained without intervention from a higher power, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That shows you how weak we are as human beings. That shows you how weak we are. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لَيْسَ الشَّدِيدُ بِالسُّرْعَةِ إِنَّمَا الشَّدِيدُ الَّذِي يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the shadid, the strong person, is not the one who can knock someone out or beat someone up or drag someone on the ground. Any man can do that. He said, but the strong one is the one who can control himself when he's angry. Self-discipline. That is how we interpret. That is the gauge, the mizan. That is the mi'yar. That is what we use to determine strength, real strength, as a person who can discipline themselves and say no. And if you don't have the power to say no, then you ask for divine intervention. You ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to intervene, recognizing your own weakness. And many of the dua that we've learned in Islam, they are indicators of our own weakness. Most of the supplications always begin by us acknowledging some inherent weakness that we have within us. If you don't pay attention to the supplications, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لولا أن أثبتناك لقد كدت تركن إليهم شيئا قليلا. That if it not had it not been that we made you firm, O Muhammad, لولا أن ثبتناك, if we have not made you thabit, we have not made you firmly rooted in principle, لقد كدت تركن إليهم شيئا قليلا. You would have inclined towards the proposals of the chiefs of Quraysh just a little bit. This is what happens when people are not grounded in principle. When someone comes along with a higher position, but you got to sell somebody out to get it, you'll sell your soul for it. You'll sell your soul for it. Because you're not rooted in principle, standards, values that define who you are. You're ruled by money, greed, position, status, and you'll sell your soul to have it. You'll sell your deen to have it. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that there will come a time where a person will wake up Muslim and go to sleep a non-Muslim, and vice versa. Go to sleep a Muslim, wake up a non-Muslim. He said, يَبِيعُ دِينَهُ بِعَرْضٍ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. He will sell his religion for a share of this dunya. And how many today, mashallah, tabarakallah, Muslims, Muslim countries, who have sold their souls for a share of the dunya. MashaAllah. I'm not going to get political, but is a statement that the scholars, they have a phrase, al-labib yakfihi al-ishara. The person who's intelligent, all you got to do is indicate. They get it. People who are not highly intelligent, you got to spell it out for them. And in spelling it out for them, sometimes you put yourself in jeopardy to spell it out. I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to spell it out for you. But all I have to do is indicate. And those who are aware of what's going on around us, you know what I'm talking about. Muslims who have sold their souls for this dunya. Nonetheless, many of the supplications that we were taught by the Prophet ﷺ are indicators of our inherent weaknesses. Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah ta'ala, he made a very famous dua. He said, Allahumma la tamna'na khayra ma indik bi sharri ma indina wa'izzana wa la tudhillana. He said, Oh Allah, do not prevent us from what you have, the good of what you have, because of the evil of what we have. The evil within ourselves. Don't deny us the good that you have because of the evil that we have within us. And honor us and don't humiliate us. As an ummah, honor us but don't humiliate us. In the dua of istikhara, right before we make major decisions in our lives, the Prophet ﷺ instructed us to make the dua of istikhara. In the beginning of the dua istikhara, what do we say? We say, Allahumma inni astakhiruka bi'ilmika. Oh Allah, I ask you to help me in this decision based upon your knowledge. Based upon your knowledge. وَاسْتَقْدِرُكَ بِقُدُرَتِكَ. And I seek your power and ability in this situation where I have no power or ability. وَأَسْأَلُكَ مِنْ فَضْلِكَ الْعَظِيمِ. And I ask you for your great bounty. فَإِنَّكَ تَقْدِرُ وَلَا أَقْدِرُ. You have power and I have no power. وَإِنَّكَ تَعْلَمُ وَلَا أَعْلَمُ. Indeed, you know and I don't know. أَنْتَ عَلَّامُ الْغُيُوبِ. You are the knower of the unseen. This is dua istikhara. You are acknowledging in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I have no power or knowledge about this decision that I'm getting ready to make. And many of us make tons of decisions on a daily basis and never once turn to Allah and ask Him for His help. We make decisions to get married. We make business deals, business decisions. We make a decision to spend our rest of our lives with another human being and we don't ask God for His intervention. How? And then we wonder why we're always upset. We're always on the brink of divorce. We're always, marriage is crumbling, relationship going haywire because you didn't consult the one who knew when you didn't know. You didn't consult the one who had power over all things, right? But you trusted in one who has power over nothing. You as a human being have power over nothing. We say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no power, no might, no authority except with Allah's power, might, and authority. That is our acknowledgement of our weakness. But yet we go out and we make decisions on a daily basis without consulting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asking Allah to help me make this decision. You know and I don't know. You have power and I don't have power. That is us acknowledging our inherent weaknesses in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we want to make sure that we are constantly in a state of checking ourselves. If you leave yourself unchecked, you are destined for destruction. I kid you not. If you constantly check yourself, check your thought processes before you making decisions. How is this going to help me? How is this going to benefit me? How is this, how is my soul? Many of us don't lead with our souls. We lead with our desires. This is what I want. This is what I covet. Instead of leading with my soul, how is this going to affect my soul? How is this going to affect my religion with Allah, my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? These are the questions that we should be asking ourselves. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us for any shortcomings that we've had in our lives and the decisions that have helped put distance between us and Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy upon us. Allahumma anta rabbuna la ilaha illa ant. Oh Allah, you are our Lord. There's nothing worthy of worship except you. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-huda wat-tuqa wal-'afafa wal-ghina. Oh Allah, we ask you for huda, for guidance. Wat-tuqa, we ask you for taqwa. Wal-'afafa wal-ghina, we ask you for self-sufficiency, and we ask you for richness of the soul. For indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has power over all things. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannah wa ma qarraba ilayha min qawlin wa amal. Oh Allah, we ask you for Jannah and what will bring us closer to Jannah from statements and actions. Wa na'udhu bika min an-nari wa ma qarraba ilayha min qawlin wa amal. And oh Allah, we seek refuge with you from the hellfire and what will bring us closer to it from statements and actions. Allahumma taqabbal minna innaka antal ghafur, taqabbal minna innaka antal sami'ul alim. Oh Allah, accept from us, indeed you are Sami', you are all hearing, all knowing. وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. And turn to us in repentance, for indeed you are a Tawwab. You are Tawwab ar-Rahim. You are the oft returning to your servants, and you are most merciful to your servants. Allahumma innaka afuun kareem tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Oh Allah, you are the pardoner, and you are generous, and you love to pardon, so pardon us. Allahumma innaka afuun kareem tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله إلى الصلاة إلى الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله استووا صفوفكم تراصوا. Inshallah, if we can just have brothers move in as much as you can. Is everyone in? We need to open the door and make another ring. Can we? Just make another ring. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, so the first ring, can we move up just a little bit?
Yeah.
And the second ring, move up just a little bit, inshallah. I mean, the fact that we're compromised here and that we're squinched up is like bittersweet, because maybe that'll force us to start working on getting another place. It's bittersweet.
Somebody come.
No, we good.
Good.
Good, inshallah.
الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت
ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله رب الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم 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 يا ذا الجلال. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Before you leave, brothers and sisters, inshallah, just a couple of quick announcements. We do have food, that's number one, so you can stay, inshallah. Number two, tomorrow's the family night, inshallah ta'ala, at 7 o'clock, inshallah. We would like everybody who considers himself a family member of this community, even if you're not necessarily a family member, but you want to be a part of the community, or you just want to hang out with us, inshallah. Feel free to come through, inshallah. We will have food, just to get to know one another. You cannot have a community without camaraderie. So we want to build the camaraderie of the community. Everyone come out for family night, inshallah ta'ala. You can bring a dish if you want. All right, please double check and make sure the food is good. Even during Ramadan when you're fasting, you can actually taste it, and it doesn't break your fast, just to make sure you put the right amount of ingredients in it. But bring a dish, inshallah. Feel free to bring a dish. That is tomorrow night at 7 p.m., inshallah. Tonight, we will have a lecture tonight after Salatul Maghrib, inshallah, between Maghrib and Isha. Come back out and benefit. We will have food. That's one thing you can always say about the community. We always feed you. You never leave here with an empty stomach, alhamdulillah. All right, so you're going to get your soul fed and you're going to get your body fed, inshallah. Come back out tonight, inshallah, after Salatul Maghrib. We will have a night lecture. And the night lecture will be the 10 dangers of the tongue. 10 things that you should be careful of as it relates to your tongue. As well as tomorrow, on Sunday, at 11 a.m. we will have our community meeting from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and also we will have food then, refreshments. Come and make your suggestions on how we can grow the community, make the community better. As you can see, our space is very limited at this point. It's extremely hot in here. Our space is very small, very limited, and we would like suggestions on how we can better accommodate the community, whether it is to move into another facility or, that's pretty much the only option that we have at this point. But we need suggestions from you and donations as well. Please be generous with your sadaqah. Come to Jumu'ah with the intention to give sadaqah. All right? Give sadaqah, inshallah. We need to keep the electricity going. We need to keep making the environment comfortable for you all. The service that we can provide you is based upon the service that you provide us as a community. All right? We are, benefiting from one another. You provide the sadaqah and we provide you with the services that you can enjoy and benefit from, both spiritually and otherwise. So please, as you leave, there's a sadaqah box going around. Please be generous with your sadaqah, inshallah ta'ala, and that goes for the sisters as well. Please, in the back, be generous with your sadaqah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase everything that you give. Even if you don't have the wherewithal to give, may Allah reward you for your intention. May Allah increase you in good because of the intention to give. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us all for any shortcomings. And there's food in the back, inshallah. You can go in the back and grab some food. Shukran, jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Did you see the Facebook page? I've been started working on it. Yeah, making some posts and a couple classes on Twitter.
Good to see you. Long time no see, huh?
Yeah.